got slick words and hot topics, catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. We got slick words and hot topics, catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe. Catch our sports vibe.
We out of pocket.
Welcome to Outta Pocket Show, where we talk about topics about today, tomorrow, and yesterday. I'm your host, Big Money Mo.
I'm Peanut, and I run the show.
My name is Fresh, and I'm gonna bring it to the house.
So today on Outta Pocket, we have the very special guest who was the head coach of an NBA team, but that's okay. He was a former defensive specialist. Welcome to the show, Coach Nate McMillan.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for having me on the hottest talk show in Las Vegas. Let's go.
That's right. Now, Coach, before we get started, we don't have to be 100% politically correct here. You can be yourself. You can say how you feel. You know, we just gonna have a casual conversation.
I'll be real.
All right.
Okay, and also, Nate, if there's a question that you don't want to particularly answer, all you got to say is, I tap out. Just to give you that out.
Okay.
Yep, I tap out. Okay.
I need that for the media. Once I get back on the sideline.
Absolutely. So you can have that.
Okay. I tap out.
So first of all, we want to congratulate you for making the playoffs in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
So the first question we have for you is, name your top 5 players and a 6th man.
From North Carolina. From where you're from the state that you're from, who would be your top 5 all-time players and your 6th man?
Ooh, of course I'm gonna put myself in that, but does Michael Jordan? I mean, they say Michael is from.
He was born in Brooklyn. Yeah, so no.
But he played his high school ball in North Carolina.
All right, you need Michael.
When he picked up his scholarship, it was from North Carolina. It wasn't New York when he was a baby, a kid.
You're cheating. Okay. You're cheating, Nate.
Okay, Dominique Wilkins. You know, from you got James Worthy, Sleepy Floyd. Let me see, James Worthy. I mean, I could go back to Artis Gilmore and
it's your team.
David Thompson.
That's 5, and then
that's 5. So I'm gonna put myself as 6th man.
There you go.
That's fair.
Well deserved.
I'm gonna put myself as 6th man.
And how many games did y'all win in the 82-game season? If that was a lineup,
we're gonna win a championship for sure. I would say we would be a 50. We will be a 50 plus win team, which is above average in the NBA.
Okay, Coach. Let me ask you. When the glove came into the league, he was your rook.
Yes.
Tell me something funny, and what kind of guy was he coming in as a brash rookie coming to Seattle?
It was really strange how things happened. I was a starting point guard when they drafted Gary, and G was, this hot-headed, talented rookie that was going to come in, and he was considered a franchise player. So the day that they drafted him, I remember the coach saying, that is our starting point guard. They didn't give us a chance to come to training camp and work it out and play it out, and rightfully so. I mean, G-top pick in the draft. Anytime you have a high pick like that, he's going to come in and start. So Gary basically came with this dukes up. He was like, he ain't taking nothing from no veterans. He and I didn't know each other. And when he came into camp late because they were late signing his contract. So camp had already started. And I think he missed about a day or two. And when he came in, he just it was like, I got game. Gary. Gary has a lot of confidence, and he believes in himself. And he came in with, as I said, with his guards up, because I was the guy who he was taking that guy's spot.
Right, right.
We became, and the first thing I told him is, hey man, let's do this. I welcomed him, and if they want you to be the starting guy, I'm going to push your ass, and I'm going to go at you every single day, and I'm going to make you better and make this team better. And from that point on, really, I would say after training camp, once we got into the season, and he saw that I wasn't a guy that, really had any ego. Hey, if they feel you're the starting guard, put you there, and I'm going to earn my right to be on the floor. And how things worked out, Gary and I played a lot more together, because he was, he could do a number of things. He certainly could score and defend, but when I came into the game, he played off of the ball.
Right.
So he could get out in transition. He was playing more like a two guard and more of a scorer than a facilitator when he was at that point guard position. And we became, both of us are believers on the defensive end of the floor that we can, we can guard anybody. Yeah, the glove, absolutely. And we just developed a friendship where, it was more of a brother, a younger brother relationship than a teammate,
right,
and all of that. And we just became close, and the respect factor was there from both of us. I had a great deal of respect for his game, and he had a great deal of respect for my game, and we just hit it off. And then, Sean and the rest of the guys came in, and we were monsters in the 90s, man. I mean, we felt like we could pretty much take anybody out of what they wanted to do out on the floor.
There wasn't a lot of egos that I could remember on that team.
The only ego was Gary.
Oh, you gotta have one. You gotta have one.
The ego was Gary. I mean, he had enough.
He was the shit.
Yeah. He had enough ego for all of us, and he was a trash talking, back it up. He knew he could deliver, and he did. G was one of the few players. If you look at his numbers, even when he signed his contracts and got his extensions, Gary got better. He wasn't like a lot of players that, once they sign the big contract and they get the big money, their numbers stay the same, or, they get content with what they're doing. G continued to improve. He continued to get better, where he, became a Hall of Famer. And you don't do that if each year you don't improve on something. Your team, not only did he improve, but his team and his teammates improved to the point where he finally was able to get a championship and become a Hall of Famer. And you have to respect that. And that's the one thing that I always talk to people about, is the fact that like a lot of these young guys now, they get these big contracts, and the numbers, all of a sudden they disappear.
Game has changed. So leading into that, talking about how the players are nowadays compared to how they were back when you were playing. So what's the biggest difference from when you first started coaching the players to coaching the players now?
It's the difference in the sense that these are young men that are coming into the league. I think the league now is more of a college game, a college atmosphere. Guys are coming into the league now at 18, 19. If you're past 20 years old, you're considered, old in your rookie year. Whereas when we came into the league, we spent 3-4 years. Most of us spent 4 years in college. So we didn't come into the league until we were 21, 22 years old. And you were playing against more men at that time, you know. And now it's just a younger league than it was when we were playing back in the 90s.
Does that hurt an older coach?
Well, I think, you know, for me and, you know, how we grew up, you know, it's considered old school. And, you know, our coaches, they challenged us in a different way than you can challenge players nowadays. You know, you can, you know, back then, you know, I mean, just think about Gary's father, Mr. Mean. I mean, he had that name of Mr. Mean, and basically he was being a father that, you know, wasn't going to be soft raising his kids or his children.
Right.
And coaches pretty much treated you the same way. You know, he was a father, but he was also coaching Gary at that time. And our coaches, you know, they challenged us. They would get in our face. They would, you know, they would get right in your face and call you out. And you know, today you can't really do that with the players. It's a different generation of players. You have to be careful with how you communicate with these players in front of the team, in front of the fans, you know, in front of, you know, in social media. You know, we would call, you know, back in the day, they would call you in and they would talk to you. Now, I mean, now, and they would call you out in front of your teammates and fan base. But now you can't do that. You got to call guys in. It's similar to this. Back in the day, we used to get our behinds tore up.
Absolutely.
Okay? Can I say it? We used to get our ass whooped.
Right.
All right. But in the last, 10, 20 years, you've heard of this thing called timeout. That's how we discipline our kids today. Right. And is one right and one wrong? It's just a different generation, a different time in how you parent your kids, how you coach these players. And you know, so me being old school, I have a lot of that in me. You know, if things are not right, if I don't like something, you know, I can get a scowl, I can put a frown on my face, and the tone of my voice will change. You have to be careful of that. And, you know, so, and it's different for Black coaches, and I think Black coaches and white coaches. You know, we as a community, it's like when Black and Black is talking and I'm in your face, it comes across as confrontation. It's just, it you know, to society, it's like, look at them. And then if they, you know, a lot of times, you know, you have white coaches that will do the same thing. They'll get in a player's face, and it's called coaching. And it's just, we in society have been kind of programmed to allow certain things to happen, or coaching can be a little different. You know, we tend to listen to and accept that challenge from a white coach, as sometimes we won't accept that same challenge from a Black coach. Right. You know, so it is different. You know, there's a number of coaches that I know, and they're very good coaches.
Yeah, that's bullshit, and that's double standards. That's not cool.
But that's you know, I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna give you an example of the stereotype. We were flying one night, and I was coaching, but we were flying, and I forget where we were traveling to, but the flight was really, really bumpy, to the point where once we got down on the ground and they parked that plane, you know, we said our prayers and thank God that we got down on that ground safely. My seat is facing the cockpit. And one of my coaches, his seat is he's facing me. But once the cockpit door opened and a black pilot came,
all hell broke loose.
And a black pilot came out of the cockpit, we dropped our heads like, but it's a stereotype, like what the H are you doing up there?
What the hell is this neighbor doing?
You don't see a lot of us. You don't see a lot of us.
Wait, time out. Isn't it funny when shit happened on the radio, on the news, and we were like, damn, we hope it's a white person. But we hate to see us out there acting a damn fool. That's how it is.
You're right. And so it's all of those stereotypes that's going on in the world.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you real quick. How, like, when you going into the bubble and the season, everything was so different. You all made the playoffs. You didn't have Sabonis, and you are over 500. Was it a surprise to you when they let you go?
In this game, things happen like that. When we first was going into the bubble, there were a lot of players and coaches and everybody who was unsure if they wanted to restart the season. And when we saw that the NBA was going to get this thing going again, you had to change your focus. You had to refocus, and now getting yourself back in the mode of getting ready to finish the season. And we had a couple players was undecided up until the time that we took off and flew down to Orlando and went into the bubble. We didn't know if there was like two of our players that until that plane closed its doors, we didn't know if they were going to show up. All of our guys showed up. So I'm feeling really confident because at that point, all of our guys were going to be playing, and we were fairly healthy in the sense of all of our guys were going to be in uniform. We had just gotten Victor Oladipo back maybe a month prior to the season shutting down, but he was on the plane. He was going to be active. Domas was on the plane. He went through practices once we got there. He was okay. So I'm feeling confident that we're going to be able to go down here and advance. We knew we were going to either play Philadelphia or Miami because of where we were. And I felt confident that we could beat both of those teams with our guys going down there with a healthy team. A week into the bubble, we're practicing, and Domas' foot flares up. And it's like, okay, we think he's going to be able to play through this. It's just he's been off for about 4 months, and you're going to have those types of soft tissue injuries when you first start up again. So we really didn't think nothing of it. And then as we continued to practice and we had to take him off the floor and getting closer to playing, then we found out that he wanted to leave the bubble. He's going to leave the bubble and try to get some treatment from an outside doctor. And it became serious enough where he was leaving the bubble. The time that they was telling us he would probably return, it wasn't going to help us. That was a huge loss for us because he was our all-star this year, became an all-star. He's a double-double guy. He was averaging 18 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. And he was really the main guy for us all season long that was initiating offense, scoring, really establishing who we were as a team. So that was a huge loss for us. Playing the 8 games that we had, we did okay. But once you get into the playoffs, you got to have all your guns. I've always said that when the NBA went to this 7-game format, you got to win 4. The healthiest team is going to win.
Right.
If you have an injury, in the playoffs, because everybody there can hoop, it's going to be challenging for you to, win some games. And for us, especially, you could get by with that during the regular season, but in the playoffs, it's going to be tough to get by with that. And we ran into a team in Miami that they showed that they were playing their best basketball in the bubble, where they, not only do they sweep us, but they knock off the Bucks, who was the favorites, and they reached the finals. They proved to be an unbelievable team playing their best basketball at the right time.
All right, Coach, I have a question for you. So when you return to coaching, do you keep your staff or do you find new staffers?
Right now, what I'm looking at, I'm probably going to come back. I want to take a break from the first seat. I'm probably going to come back as an assistant. And, it's like I'm kind of looking at this like drumline. We're going to mix the old with the new. As they said, old school with some new school. So, I'm talking to a couple teams about, assisting, a couple coaches in the league. And I want to really just take a step back and do something a little different. So I'm looking at that role right now.
I have a question. So your son, Jamel.
Yes.
When he was coaching on.
Congrats on the wedding, a baby girl.
Thank you. We were so hurt. I know, we were so hurt we couldn't have our whole family. That was going to be the epic wedding of the year.
And
we were hurt that no one.
We were picking out outfits to get ready.
Right.
Everybody's looking forward to it and planning, and sorry we couldn't be there, but beautiful, and congrats.
And congratulations on you as becoming a grandpa.
Yes, what a blessing.
He's adorable.
He is a blessing. Matter of fact, we're going to take off this weekend and go down to New Orleans and visit with him.
Nice. Okay, so with that being said, what advice, you have 2 children, Brittany and Jamel, and love and adore them. Jamel was in the league as a coach. Did you give him, what advice did you give Jamel?
I basically, you as my mother told me, and you shut your mouth and you do your job. And you be loyal to those people that you're working for and working with. And I think if you take that approach, you're going to give yourself an opportunity in anything you do to have some success and keep a job. Jamel, I never want, there were opportunities for him to come and work with me, but I'm a little superstitious. At the time, he was my only son, so I don't travel with my son. That was just a no-no. He carries my last name, and I want that name. If we're gonna go out, it's not gonna be like that.
You've always thought about that ever since he was born?
Jamel and I never traveled together, just the 2 of us. As a family, we would travel, or he would travel with his mother, but he and I never got on a plane together, just the 2 of us by ourselves. Only one time when he was traveling to a camp, but now I have another grandson that's going to carry the name, so he and I can
travel.
We can get on planes, but I wanted him to get into this coaching, if that's what he chose, on his own. and he did. You know, he came and he worked. He came and he worked with me at the Olympic team, with the Olympic team in 2008, 2007, and a couple coaches who was there watching saw him working with NBA players, and they invited him, which was Monty Williams. Invited him to come and work with him, and he wanted him to really kind of do a little bit of everything: video, PD, player development, you know, game preparation. So he had an opportunity to do all of that, and he established himself as a good young coach in this league. And he later went on to get a job in Phoenix. He left New Orleans, went to Phoenix, and then he came back to New Orleans working for Alvin Gentry. And
nice.
He's been in the league, 10 years now, and he's been able to establish himself because of him, not so much riding my coattail. And I thought that was important.
Absolutely.
I thought that was really important, that people see him for who he is and what he is capable of doing, and not just the son of Nate McMillan. But right now he's interviewing. He's interviewing at New Orleans, you know, for a job. Stan Van Gundy got that job, so he is interviewing there for a position with that staff again.
Hey Nate, let me ask you. Going back to 2000.
Sorry, I was just saying I'm really proud of Jamel. So keep up the good work. Go ahead, Fresh.
Hey Nate, speaking on the 2008, what were some of those practices like?
I spent 7 years with the Olympic team. We won gold in 2008. And we won gold in 2012. And, you know, really to have that opportunity to be an assistant coach with Coach K and Coach Boeheim and Mike D'Antoni, and, you know, working, you know, first when they called me and they asked me to, in 2005, they called me and asked me to be an assistant with the national team. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at the phone, you know, it's Jerry Colangelo, and I'm looking at the phone like, what team you talking about, the JV team or the varsity?
Right.
Are you talking about the big boys, the Olympic team? And he said, yes, we're talking about the Olympic team. And I'm thinking at that time, all these coaches in this country, and you guys come and ask Nate McMillan to be an assistant on the Olympic team. I was really shocked at the time, but I was also honored that they felt that way about me. Jerry Colangelo, Coach K, who were selecting the staff, that they wanted me to be a part. They felt that I could help the Olympic team. And it was an unbelievable experience, you know, to be there working with Kobe and Wade and LeBron, Carmelo, Durant. I mean, you talking about walking with your chest out, knowing that you got all those guys. We were just running through people in 2008, and it was a team. You know what they wanted to do. It started in 2005. We lost in the Olympics in 2004. That was Iverson, Wade, LeBron, and all of those guys. And with the Olympic Committee, we lost to Argentina, and the U.S. was like, that can't happen again. So what they wanted to do was build a team and not just put together a bunch of all-stars like they had been doing in the past. So it was a 3-year commitment that you had to make in order to be on this team. This was both the staff and the coaches. They weren't going to select the team in the way that they had been selecting it the year of the Olympics. So you had to spend 3 years with the team, build the team, build the chemistry. And so we did that from 2005. We ended up losing 1 game. We lost to Greece in 2007. And it was the worst feeling. We ended up still qualifying, but we lost the game.
Right.
And with that national team, you can't lose a game.
Why does the players not want to be on the Olympic team anymore? Like, they opt out of playing in the Olympics nowadays.
That's a 3-year commitment as well. That's a lot. It's a long season. You don't have a break. Some guys have other commitments, you know, depending on their star status. I think there's a lot of things that go into, and Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot of things that go into that outside of just playing basketball. I think everybody wants to represent the country. It's what do I have to give up to represent the country, when in the past you've picked the year before, or you've picked, you know, the year of. Now I give you 3 years to practice, to miss away from my family when I already have a season where I'm missing, you know, my family and so on and so forth. So I think there's a lot of things that.
So do you think, okay, I already have 1, 2, 3 gold medals. I'm good. I'm going to hand off the torch, or because I want to be with my family, because I played all year round. Now I'm going all summer to play in the Olympics. They just give up. They just want to say, pass the torch to the younger guys.
I think it's a combination of things. You know, the Olympics doesn't have the same meaning to athletes as it did back in the 90s, 80s. It doesn't have the same appeal to athletes. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, it was really college players that played in the Olympics. And when we started getting busted in the Olympics in the 90s, I think 92 is when they started allowing NBA players, professional players, to play in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we wanted to dominate the game that we created. So they started allowing the NBA players to play the Dream Team in 92. And that made it attractive again to want to play in the Olympics. But as, you know, they started to allow professional players to play, it kind of lost a little bit of that sex appeal again. And we took it for granted, I think, in 2004 when we lost in the Olympics to Argentina. We didn't even qualify. I don't even think we qualified that year. They wanted to make it attractive, sexy again. They made it attractive for players, and it's different in the sense that players, you know, and this is my own personal opinion. It's not that I've talked to any players. It's just my thought with why players don't do things, or it's so much money committed to the players right now that they don't need the Olympics to put on their resume. You know, you don't get paid for that.
Okay, right.
Those 45 days that you're gone about 45 days, almost 2 months when you commit to the Olympic team, and you don't get paid for that. You know, the players, they get endorsements, and, you know, the shoe companies, they pay them for some appearances, and they can make some money. But you're giving away your summer to the Olympics, and there's no pay in that. And these players, you know, the players now are making so much money that they want their off time. They want their summers. Majority of the guys that they are selecting are guys who normally play deep into the playoffs. They play until May, June, and then you're going to say, okay, July and August, I'm going to play for the national team, and we start back up again in September. It's a you know, you have to really respect LeBron who's been playing in all these finals, and plus he's playing in with the Olympics, and he's continuing to come back and be as strong as ever. And Durant was doing this. All of the Kobe. These guys are coming off of playing up into the finals, and then they take a week or two off, and then they're committing to the Olympic team for another 2 months before. And when they return from Olympic play, they may have 2-3 months before 2-3 weeks before the season starts up again. That's a huge commitment for these guys. Yeah. And, so it's a challenge. There's so many other things they do that is putting a lot of money in their pockets, and to give up commitments like to those things, I think is a challenge for some of them.
Going back to the bubble, how were you mentally in the bubble? Like, everybody worries about now this mental health that, a lot of people are having, and, being confined in that one area. How'd you hold up?
I thought I held up good. I thought our team, we would do, different things to try to, make sure that, guys were okay. Because once you got on the property, we arrived on the property in Orlando, July 9th. And we were there until I think August 20th or something like that. So we were there a little over a month, and you couldn't leave the property. I thought the NBA did a really good job of protecting everyone. We were getting tested every single day. You knew that everybody on the property, everybody that you saw on that property was getting tested. So you didn't really have that fear that you was nervous about being around anyone. We had to social distance. We had to wear our mask. We had entertainment. It was really like being on a college campus, and you just didn't leave that campus, for over a month for us. But, you look at guys like, the Lakers, who were playing in the finals against Miami, those guys were there until October. That was tough. Mentally, that was a little tough, but, we had the best of everything. We had, most of those guys have suites. You have food, you have access to pretty much whatever you want. They were allowed
y'all didn't have no groupies in there, did you?
No, you didn't. You didn't have that.
Monique.
No, but
I heard somebody try to sneak one in though.
Yeah, I think no, he didn't. I don't think he snuck that person in. I think that person was one of the medical
testers.
People. Oh, yeah. Wow. She was a sneaky freaky.
Yeah, well, again, you're having conversations every day because you're getting tested.
Right.
So,
right.
So you're talking to those folks every day, and I don't know if that conversation led to something else, but it was. I thought the NBA did a really good job with it.
Hey, Coach, when you first came in the league, who was the first one to give you the business when you was a rookie?
Oh man, the guy that was tough for us to guard.
I'm saying to us.
No.
Say you, not to us. You.
No, who bust your ass? Not the team. Who bust your ass personally?
No, because
came in the league.
Okay, no, I'm saying us because Gary had him first. Remember, I came off the
We talking about when you stepped in the league.
Your rookie year, when you were a rookie.
Okay, my rookie year. Okay.
Yes.
Derek Harper.
Hollywood Harp.
Derek Harper was a big guard, and it wasn't so much me guarding him. I could guard him, but it was he was guarding me. And my first playoff game, I remember Dallas was a really good team. They had Blackman and Sam Perkins and all of those boys, and Aguirre, and Mark Aguirre, and I mean they were bad. I mean they had a nice group, and they swept us during the regular season. And we were meeting them in the first round of the playoffs, and they had swept us. They had beat us 4 times during the regular season. So mentally, you already thinking we don't stand a chance against these guys. And sure enough, I go into my first playoff game against Dallas, and Harper, he knows he has to the point where the first time I tried to bring the ball up, he stripped me. Okay. The second time I brought the ball up, he stripped me, and Bernie Bickerstaff called the timeout. So I go to the bench, and I'm walking out to the court, and I could see Harper sprint from out of his timeout and ran right up on me and put his chest on me, and he's just breathing on me like, I got your ass. I'm sitting there like, you do. You have me. You do.
Hey, I don't know that you dunked, but have you ever dunked?
Mo, come on now. I gotta see.
I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so who did you first dunk on, and who was the first person that dunked on you?
Dunked on. I mean, you got to go back to college, and then in the NBA, the first person was Jerome Kersey that I dunked on. And I got a picture. I should run upstairs and take it off my wall.
That you gonna take a picture of that picture? And when we do this, when we talk about this, it's gonna come right soon.
Yeah, it was Jerome Kersey. Dunked on me.
Who dunked on you?
I don't remember.
Well, you was like this. You was like this.
No, I'll tell you this.
Who was that person?
Michael, we were playing Michael Jordan, the Bulls, in a preseason game. And we were playing them in Tennessee. It was a preseason game. And, I knew Michael. I played against Michael when he was in high school. So I knew him, and I knew what he was capable of doing. But this was my first time playing against him in the pros. And, all the height was there. And I was guarding him on the wing. And he had the ball on the wing. And all he did was he did a jab step, step. And I jumped so far
back,
thinking that he was going to go, that I heard the people in the stand say, "Ooh."
Was that a nightmare? Did you hear that in your sleep? Ooh.
All he did was a hard jab, like he was going somewhere. And I'm talking about,
right.
I jumped from the 3-point line back into the paint, maybe. And I just remember the fans saying, "Ooh." And all you're thinking about at that point is, ball do not go in.
Do not go in.
And, so I can't think of anybody who dunked on me.
Okay.
That's a.
Okay, so I have another question. How did you pick your number? College, NBA, and did you ever have to pay someone to get your jersey back?
No, I was just a 10 just represents me. I'm a dime piece.
You've always been a 10?
I'm a dime piece.
Mo, I'm a dime piece. Come on.
I No way, but
No,
for the people who don't know.
10 was just a number. I didn't have 10 until I got to the NBA. I wore 12 before. I wore 23 before, and 10 was a number that I picked once I got to the NBA. I don't know why. You know, that was a number that felt right at that time. You know, my
that's not
favorite
a lucky number, or
no, because you know, my favorite player when I came into the league was Mo Cheeks and Magic Johnson. Those were the two guys that, you know, I grew up watching Mo and you know, watching Magic, and when I had the opportunity to play against Magic, you know, I was considered a big guard. He was an even bigger guard, but those were two guys that, you know, and they didn't wear number 10, you know, so, you know, but I don't know. That was a number that felt right.
Good. You made well of that number.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Hey, Mo, what was your number? I heard you had game back in the day.
All right.
Okay.
No, I've seen Mo out on the floor once or twice.
Shooting air balls?
No.
No.
I was I played ball.
And then I was told that she had some game.
I got all the game. First of all.
God. Hey, Mo, don't do it.
No, first of all, let me just tell y'all.
Mute your phone.
I started in junior high, went to high school, went to junior college.
We all did that.
And it started every game, never sat on the bench, always was the one that I was the point guard. My number was 11.
Okay.
That's all I can remember. I can't remember any other game. So for me, I love the game. For me, I love the game, but couldn't tell you what the hell we did yesterday. I couldn't tell you my stats. I couldn't tell you what we did.
That's not a sign of a good point guard if you can't remember.
But, you know,
that's not the sign of a good point guard if you can't remember.
Hey, it was day by day. Yesterday didn't matter. So if we won, we won. We lost, we lost. We got to move on to the next day. That's just how I was.
You sound like an NBA coach. We can't do nothing about last game. We focus on tonight.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you a question, Coach.
Sure.
Who did you circle on your calendar who you know couldn't check you when you played?
Fresh, I wasn't that type of guy. I just my thought was I've always played with guys like Gary and Detlef and Kemp, and you know, I wasn't a scorer. I was more of a facilitator, and I never, you know, in JUCO, I did everything. I scored, I rebounded, I averaged a triple-double in JUCO. Mm-hmm. But I've never been a big-time scorer. I've always had those guys on my team, and I knew my job was to defend, get them the ball when I did, and make them happy. You know, keep them happy.
Okay.
You know, so scoring never was, you know, a big thing for me. It was like whatever it takes to win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you have to defend, if you have to dive on that floor, if you have to rebound, if you have to keep that shooter over there happy, whatever it takes to win, that's what Nate is going to do.
Gotcha. Thank you for that, Coach.
Okay, I have a question about when you was at NC State and played under Jimmy V. Mm-hmm. What was something you took from him? You know, what the lessons learned?
Coach, I think you know, in my coaching, I took a little bit from all of my coaches, and I had some great coaches in Coach V, Casey Jones coached me in Seattle, Bernie Bickerstaff, George Carl. You know, I played for some really good coaches, even in high school. You know, Coach McLean, but Coach V was, you know, he really didn't get the credit for his X's and O's. You know, he was a guy that really was a motivator. He spoke when he spoke to you, or when he addressed his team. You know, he's one of those guys that could get you to pretty much do whatever. You know, it's like listening to Obama. You know, when President Obama speak, you know, it just he grabs you. You know, they have a way of just grabbing your attention and getting you to kind of focus in on what they're saying. And Coach V had that skill to be able to do that. He, you know, would address his team. He would get you to believe that you could pretty much do anything out there. You could beat anybody out there. And you know, words were important to him. And you know, those were. I think that was one of the things that I took from Coach V and Coach K. You know, these guys. You know, the first thing that they said to their team, they worked on that just as hard as they worked on the practice plan. And the reason for that was to get that team's attention quickly, to get them focused on the vision that they had, that they were laying out for that particular team. So I would say, just being able to communicate with the team, knowing the importance of using words to communicate with your team.
All right, well, this is the end of the show where we asked 21 questions. We're trying to get you to go through all the questions without messing up. Once you mess up, that's it, you're done.
Okay.
And you got 7 seconds to answer the question.
Okay.
So
the last guest only got through 4. So I mean, you got the bar set low for you to, you know, get over the top.
Here we go.
Okay, you ready? Okay. Take a deep breath. Number 1, 10 plus 1.
11.
Ricky, Bobby, Ralph, Mike, Ronnie, and Johnny form what 90s R&B group?
Hold up. Say that
again. Ricky, Bobby, Ralph, Mike, Ronnie, and Johnny. Okay. Jeez. Okay, number 3. Michael Jordan played for how many NBA teams?
2.
Number 4. This is a tough one. What is Rudy Huxtable's real name? 7 seconds.
That's Rudy Huxtable.
Rudy Huxtable. Yeah.
Look, I'm going to say that when I see her, Rudy.
All right, well, that was a good try. Good try, James. You know what? We thank you so much.
What is Keisha Knight Pullum?
Yeah, Keisha. You should have had like a multiple choice there, like 3. Keisha.
That's too easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, Nate, we are so grateful that you came on, and love you so much. I miss you guys so much.
But Mo, Peanut, Fresh, look, man. You guys have that opportunity to spend some time with a really dear person to me. She's just as cool. Look, to be able to sit in there with you guys and hold her own. She has always been able to hold her own, just as cool as, hey man, the other side of a pillow, as they say. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Enjoyed it, and anytime you guys want to talk, I'm gonna go back to work though. So I plan on going back and being on the sidelines here.
Well, when you become a head coach, get me out of the video room. I'm so done with it. So I'm over it. I understand it, but
Okay, Pete, give me a little something about you. You're 6.
I'm not. I'm 5'9" on a good day.
5'9".
In all honesty, not bragging, nobody better than me than making someone better at basketball. Proofs in the pudding.
Thanks for tuning in to the Outta Pocket Show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and follow us on YouTube at Outta Pocket Show. And don't forget to tune in next week. Peace.
Hi, this is Nate McMillan, and you're listening to the #1 talk show in Las Vegas with my man Peanut, my girl Mo, and my man Fresh.